Hello, my butterfly friend. It's another gorgeous day on the meadow. Kind of unusual to have two really gorgeous days in a row, but I'm very thankful. I'm on the deck. Every place else is the lighting is still too harsh. And as you can see, if I lean too far one way or too far the other way, I get our lattice work on me. So I've got the sun positioned just right. And maybe someday I'll get all this figured out quickly and easily, but today is not that day. Today, I want to talk about something that's a little controversial. Um, Saturdays, I've decided I'd like to talk about uh, how the meadow is restoring me. I think I'm restoring the meadow, but I'm finding that the more I work in the meadow, the more the meadow is working in me and healing me and what I'm discovering, science-based stuff that I'm discovering. And so today is a little controversial. Um, Hope you can handle it. You're welcome to duke it out in the comments as long as everyone is kind. But today I want to talk about, and I've got my notes down here. I want to talk about something, like I said, it's controversial, but it's the word carnivore. And I know that sends a lot of people's eyebrows shooting up and some people clutching pearls or whatever. But this isn't about converting anyone. I don't want to convert you to anything, except maybe pollinator conservation and Jesus. I don't know. But it's about what is working for me. It's what I've discovered and how I'm feeling and how I'm sticking to it. We'll talk about some simplicity and inflammation, food freedom, and yes, I'll even touch on the big objections a little bit. First up, let me tell you about why I started researching the carnivore diet. I had a lot of inflammation and autoimmune issues, a lot of joint pain. I was diagnosed with, well, if you count thyroid, 3 autoimmune diseases, hypothyroidism and myasthenia gravis, which means my muscles work until they don't, and when they don't, things kind of go crashing to the ground. And then finally, just a couple of years ago, lupus, which is another reason why I want to stay out of the direct sun, which being a flower farmer with lupus is an interesting perspective. But skin issues, a couple of years ago, I went through about 18 months of being covered head to toe in hives, and that's not fun. They were autoimmune hives related to the lupus. Waking up puffy and foggy, I couldn't get my body to do what I wanted it to do. And I didn't expect to feel better quickly, but it just felt like I would eat this and my hives would flare, and I would eat that and pretty soon it was like it didn't matter what I ate. I felt like my hives were going to flare up. But when I started my carnivore journey about a year ago, I was 65-75% carnivore and still that 35-25% clean eating for the most part, but still eating other things. But yet I still wasn't feeling great. So, and come to find out, some of us, even healthy plant foods, can be irritating to us. They have things like lectins and oxalates and the nightshade family, things like that. So when I first went on carnivore, I really enjoyed the simplicity of it. We have a medically complicated family between my dietary issues, food allergies, food sensitivities, dislikes, and my husband's health concerns. Complicated meal planning was just driving me insane. It would sometimes take hours for us to agree on a meal, and it was just complicated. And so, under carnivore, it's much, much easier. I finally finally in March just convinced my family to try it with me. And it's amazing because I can batch cook 10 pounds of hamburgers, portion it out, batch cook them in just an hour or so, and boom, we have meals for a couple of days. Uh, Dinner is grab and go. It's just so much easier logistically. We have a busy family in spite of all the complicated issues. We've got running off to doctor appointments. My older daughter works almost full time. And as a caregiver, a teacher, and an entrepreneur, I needed simplicity. I'm not a foodie. I'm not a foodie. I appreciate good food. I like flavorful food, but I'm just not an Epicurean. I'm just not. I give me simplicity and let me get on to something else. Also, and this is bearing my heart to you. I've struggled with emotional eating for years, probably most of my life. And I wasn't eating all the time because I was hungry. I was chasing a feeling of satisfaction, a feeling of fullness, of care. I don't know what all I was feeling. Boredom, fear. Food was comforting, but obviously it's not served me well. And carnivore, the carnivore diet can really helped me identify when I was really hungry and when I was just wanting my tongue to dance. Um, when you simplify your food, and especially when you get away from packaged processed food that isn't engineered to make your brain light up, it's easier to tell the difference between needs and desires. Um, my tongue isn't bossing me around anymore. I'm not constantly thinking about my next snack. That has been one of the greatest benefits for me going on carnivore because I'm not constantly thinking about the food noise. The food noise is just diminished tremendously. It's incredibly hard to binge on hamburgers. You eat, you're full, you stop, and it's peaceful. And for me, that works. I know that if I have enough, this is just the way I've learned my body works. If I have enough good, healthy protein and enough good, healthy fat, I feel good. It's simple. Now, people have a lot of objections, but don't you need fiber? I thought I did too. But guess what? My digestion is better than it's ever been. I won't go into details. If you really want some details, PM me and I can chat, but I'm not putting out all my gastrointestinal history here on YouTube. Let's just say things are much better, gastrointestinally speaking. And objection number 2 that people often have is that all that saturated fat is so dangerous for your heart. We've been told that for years and years and years. We've been, the whole food pyramid and cholesterol causes heart disease. But you know what? The science has shifted. The science is shifting. And it's becoming more and more evident that the standard American diet, the food pyramid, is not working. If you look into the history of the food pyramid, and I'm not getting into this here a whole bunch, but if you look in the history, it wasn't really developed by science. It was developed by how can we market all this corn and soybeans? And that's not a good way to build a diet. And if you look around, you can see for yourself that the standard American diet isn't working. The whole food saturated fat doesn't cause heart disease the way processed junk does. That's just plain and simple. You think back to our grandparents, great grandparents, further back, before there was a lot of processed foods in the stores. What did they eat? They ate as close to the garden as possible, as close to the farm. And they ate bacon and eggs for breakfast. And then what did they do? They went out and they worked on the farm. They didn't have pasta. They had some bread, but it wasn't full of chemicals or genetic engineering like our breads and grains are now. So it's just carnivore diet removes a lot of that stuff. Objection number 3, where do you get your vitamins? Well, red meat is loaded. Absolutely. It's more than just protein. Think about this, guys. The cow eats the grass. The grass has the nutrients in it. It's not like the nutrients evaporate off the back of the cow, right? I get everything I need. And without the anti-nutrients like the lectins and the oxalates that we talked about a little bit ago, I do eat eggs and butter. I'm not a big fish person, so I do have tuna occasionally. I eat chicken. It's not just steak all day. First of all, who can afford steak at every meal in this economy? But I heard a carnivore doctor say that the cheapest hot dog is better for you than an artisan bread, because the bread is so full of anti-nutrients, and it's harder on your body to digest than plain old meat. Now, that's not to say I eat hot dogs. I don't care for them. Bonus number 4, don't you miss variety? Not bonus, objection number 4. Don't you miss variety? Yes, I have my notes down here. Oddly, no. Like I said, I'm a simple girl. I really like knowing I can come out in the kitchen, I can grab 4 boiled eggs, 3, 4, depending on how hungry I am, and chop them up, throw some butter on them, microwave, and there's breakfast. It takes me less than 1 minute to fix breakfast. And lunch, I've got those hamburgers that I make pre-made. I take one, pop it in the microwave, and within a minute, I have my lunch. Same thing for dinner. If I want to add something back someday, I can, but I'm not craving variety right now. When I find if I haven't had enough good protein, if I haven't had enough good fat, that's what I'm craving. Now, I'm not saying this is right for everyone. You do you. But if you're struggling with autoimmune issues, gut problems, food addictions, carnivore might be worth exploring. Sometimes something very simple is powerful. Sometimes radical healing requires a radical reset. And that's what I've done. That's what I am doing. I am radically resetting my body. And I thought I was semi-keto before, but anytime I slipped into ketosis, I had a lot of side effects from it. I was a little itchy and it wasn't fun. This time, why? Because I was still eating the other things, the vegetables and such. And I really think those were what my body was reacting to. This time, I've been in ketosis for about 3 weeks now, and I'm not itchy. I'm sleeping. I wake up in the morning and my brain is clear. How about that? It's pretty cool. It's not about being perfect. It's about feeling whole. And I'm not perfect on this. I have chosen to eat something that I ate before. But you know what? The next day I pay for it. And those things are becoming less and less attractive to me because my body is becoming accustomed. It really likes not reacting to food. And it's upsetting to people, but again, I'm of an age where I really don't care too much what people think about me anymore. So that's why I went carnivore, and why I'm going to stick with it for now, that's for sure. If you've tried it, I would love to hear your comments in I'd love to hear your story in the comments. And if you're curious, ask questions. I can make recommendations. A couple of people that I listen to a lot. One of them is the Steak and Butter Gal. She's really good. Another one is Kelly Hogan's My Zero Carb Life. Both of those are women. The Steak and Butter Gal, she came from it from a strict vegan point of view, and she thought she was doing what was right, and she just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. She went carnivore and she started getting better and better and better. And then Kelly Hogan, she used to be really overweight too and had a lot of autoimmune issues. That's what really caught my eye. Her body type and my body type was very similar. How do I do the verbs on that one? The way she was is very similar to the way I am now. And the idea that maybe I could someday look like her was pretty attractive. If you're horrified, thanks for sticking around anyway. You're welcome to ask questions, like I said. So take care, friends. I hope you have a very lovely weekend. So bye-bye. Bye-bye, butterfly.